The paper that I'm going to speak to this afternoon is published in a book about critical issues relating to restorative justice. And I would like to preface my presentation with just a couple of comments or ideas that I think could help to deepen and invigorate some of the conversations that go on about restorative justice or community justice or any other kinds of justice projects by which communities want to restore safety and peace to their relationships in the community. The first comment is that I think it's really important when we talk about restorative justice to be specific and precise in the language that we employ, so that we are clear about who the offender is, what the offense is, what the harm is, what the ripple effects of the harm are, what the community effects of the harm are. We also need to be clear about what kind of program is it that is being referred to. Is it something that works with serious crime? Is it something that works with youth justice? Is it something that works with offenders after a period of incarceration? So there's restorative justice at this point is something that has been going on around the globe. There are many, many different manifestations in how people are making it work at the local level. The literature about restorative justice is vast, and there are many, many studies to draw from to look at various critical questions that people have been exploring. So restorative justice as a concept is an approach to dealing with crime. Usually it's people look at it within a criminal justice sense. I think it has potential for a broader application than that, but most of the work is within the criminal realm. So that's the first comment, that we be precise and specific when we're referring to it. And the reason that's important is that sometimes sweeping comments about crime or programs and effectiveness of programs lend themselves to fostering fear and anger and dissatisfaction, as opposed to encouraging a constructive kind of learning environment or conversation that would be more helpful to the people at the local level. My second comment is that we try, whenever possible, to be culturally and geographically specific when we speak about Aboriginal peoples. This is especially important in a province like British Columbia, which has many different nations of Aboriginal peoples that are culturally and linguistically distinct from one another. The third comment is that we work to try and avoid the creating of a dichotomy or a polarization between the existing criminal justice system and restorative justice. There's a tendency in the literature and in some of the community work to vilify the criminal justice system and to romanticize much of what's called restorative justice. And that's not a helpful way to approach the issues that we're dealing with. Unfortunately, when we polarize those issues, we lock ourselves into positions, and then a lot of our attention and our energy is spent defending those positions. So we limit the kind of creativity and imagination that we need to employ. The final comment is that there's some work that I found very useful in Norway by a criminologist by the name of Nils Christie. And what Nils Christie argued was that we need to view conflict as property, and communities need to view conflict in their community as their property, and that they have a responsibility for resolving the conflicts. It's in the resolve of conflicts that we figure out the rights and the wrongs. And when communities lose the responsibility for acting on managing the conflict within the communities, they can become paralyzed. And what Christie observed in Norway was that that was part of what was happening with the centralization of the justice system there. And it's something that I think is part of the dynamic that happens at community levels, including within Aboriginal communities as well. So those are the comments which I hope will lend themselves to a deepening of a conversation about restorative justice.